You've probably heard the news recently. Australia is set to implement a tax on electric cars. When I say a tax, I mean it's going to be worse than a tax because you're going to have to keep a logbook, write down where you go. Basically, the government will have to be able to be like your big brother, follow you around. And this will be a big disincentive from purchasing an electric car. Now, when I did a video on this, some people didn't like my video. They believe electric cars should be taxed. However, there's a counter argument that makes a lot more sense. Here's what it is. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Today I received this message from Peter. Peter said this: check your facts. Hi all, recently I've been researching the whole excise road building road use scenario in Australia. Basically, it's a lot of bollocks. I am dumbfounded that the Treasury Department in Australia has not done the same, or they have, and they're pretending they haven't, and cannot believe what I'm hearing from the Economic Summit. The road user charge on EVs is complete bullshit, and we need a class action to stop it now before the rot sets in. Class action lawsuit. I invite everyone to check these facts with Google. Fuel excise revenue in 2024, $17 billion. The government says that fuel excise revenue of $17 billion is used to maintain and build roads all across Australia. Is that actually true? Well, no. But if you look at road projects funded through that actual money, that $17 billion, only $6 billion of that $17 billion was actually used. And of that $6 billion, $5 billion was for two pet freeway projects that only benefit Sydney and Melbourne, not the rest of Australia. But what about the rest of the money? The other $11 billion, where did it go? It just went to the federal government. They didn't actually use it for roads at all. How are all other roads in Australia actually funded? By states and councils through your rates and your car registration. How much does the government spend on air pollution related health and death issues? $7 billion every year. And that in fact could be an understatement. How many vehicles of any type in Australia are there? There's around 24 million. Divide that 24 million by the $7 billion spent on health issues. The government is saving actually $350 for every electric car registered instead of an internal combustion car. This is exactly what China was smart enough to recognize. And China, in fact, that's why they have massive incentives for electric cars, because it improved the health in China's cities so much that healthcare costs went down for China's citizens. Even though China's citizens are aging, their population is aging, their healthcare costs per person declined in the cities that have adopted EVs. EVs are heavy and wear out the roads, said the Victorian government. What bollocks, said Peter. VicRoads' own modelling shows that 95%, and I've quoted this before, 95% of road wear comes from big trucks like semis. It makes sense. They're much heavier than any electric car. A big truck weighs around 60 tons with a load, even more. And that is more than 30 EVs. Yet a big truck uses only about 3 to 6 times as much fuel. So the government is only collecting 1/10 of their share, in terms of revenue, from trucks. And car drivers are paying the death tax for trucks. You want to talk about fair? So if you want fair, then big trucks should pay 45 cents per litre of the 50 cents. Fuel excise and internal combustion cars in general should only pay 5 cents, plus trucks should pay 6 times $350 as a health tax. And I've said this as well. If we're going to base it on the actual damage done to the roads, who's doing it? It's actually trucks that are doing it. Basically, what all of this means is that EV owners should be getting a $350 credit if you're talking about economics. And if we're talking about economics, let's not ignore the fact that EV owners use Australia's resources to charge their vehicles. Yeah? Australia imports a lot of oil. We import it from other countries, and that hurts our trade balance. But when Australians charge electric cars, they use Australian solar, Australian renewable energy, or Australian fossil fuels. It's stuff that comes from Australia. And that actually helps Australia. If you look at the actual numbers and not the talkback radio, you must agree that a tax on EV road users is total nonsense. I'm all for taxes to pay for good roads, but if you want actual tax reform, get real, throw out the old model and start again and do it right. Don't just pick on the low-lying fruit of taxing EV owners. Now, Peter, I agree with you, and that's why I've shared your comments on YouTube. I totally agree with you. And I know people are going to disagree with this for some reason. Anytime I do a video about this issue, people dislike my videos. Quite a few, in fact. But I've got to say, if you just think about this purely on a logical level, yeah, really just purely logically, around 35% of everyone who gets lung cancer, and it's one of the fastest growing cancers in Australia, has never smoked a cigarette in their life. But most of them live in big cities. Yeah, most of them live in big cities. They've never smoked a cigarette in their lives. Many of them are fit and were healthy until they got lung cancer. Where do you think they got lung cancer from? Well, experts are now saying it's from the air. And the primary cause of it is fumes from diesel and gasoline or petrol-powered cars. So the real issue here is not electric cars and taxes. It's actually the health of Australians. The health of Australians is being completely ignored because it's not popular. Thanks for watching. And I'll show you in a minute just how good they are. This is catapulted to being one of the biggest automakers in the world. Volkswagen has been struggling, right? They just shut down another factory in China. And this is a big shock because this was a joint owned partnership, essentially with the Chinese government. But this factory is doing so poorly they had to shut it down. And they're actually assessing other factories in China to decide whether or not they need to shut down other factories as well. And yet, Volkswagen sales have been struggling. They're down by 30% in the United States. They're down elsewhere. Worldwide, they're down this year. But there is one big positive for the Volkswagen Group. Their EV sales this year are up 47%. Without their EV sales rising, they'd be in a much worse position than they are in. So it's a similar story for other automakers. The automakers that are selling more EVs, like Geely, their sales have risen by more. Well, actually, Geely's sales are up second highest growth rates in the world, second only to Xpeng or Xiaopeng. So the companies selling more EVs are killing it. The ones that are not, their sales continue to fall. Here are the top 20 most popular EVs in the world this year, plug-in hybrids as well.